So the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro, well, it just got announced yesterday. Big fanfare, you know, usual Apple event. People get excited for new iPhones. I was talking to Mo about it. We're watching, we're like, wow, iPhone 15 times we've done this. I mean, it's changed a little bit as far as these keynotes are concerned, but 15 times. Anyway, a lot of people are interested and want to know, hey, which one should I buy and which one should I not buy, or at least which one is best for me? What is the preference and so forth. Now, I can't necessarily know, like I don't know exactly what your needs are, but I'm gonna go through the ordering process in order to determine some of the things I think are like a better value. These are very expensive phones. And of course, we've seen all the memes, people saying, oh, it's the same phone over again. Well, listen, it has USB Type-C, all right? And that's already a big enough improvement for me to get interested. Plus, I like titanium. Titanium's cool. Look, I don't know. You decide what you want to do with your own $2,000 or $1,500 or whatever it is, but let's go through the ordering process and find out what I like and what I think you should and shouldn't pay for. So the first thing you're going to see, obviously, is the decision between the 15 Pro and the 15. Now, I'm just going to go out and say it. I think for a lot of people, the 15 represents the better value for money, especially if you haven't upgraded in a while and you've been resistant because of cost. So let's go ahead and first look at the pricing on the 15. Pre-orders are starting at 5 a.m. on 9/15. You'll be watching this video before that, and then they'll ship on 9/22. So pricing on the iPhone 15 starts at $799. Of course, Apple's also going to show you can pay it off over a couple of years. That's the number one thing I don't recommend you do. Don't pay it off over 24 months. If they're writing years and months, you know that they're probably trying to finesse you a little bit, all right? So just avoid that, pay it up front if you can, trade in your old model. I'll get to that in a second because there's probably ways to actually get more money for your old model if you can skip out on some of the convenience. So 15 or 15 plus, 6.1 inch display versus 6.7. This is kind of a big gap. This is a substantial difference in your pocket. I think the regular size is going to actually be optimal for the majority of people, unless you are looking for enhanced battery and a slightly better multimedia experience. Otherwise, these things are fairly interchangeable. So I'm gonna say if you go 15, go baseline. Get in there for $799 because you're looking for value for money. And well, if you were looking for value for money, I don't know that you'd be looking at an iPhone. But if you're looking for value for money in an iPhone, then I think the baseline iPhone 15 is kind of the way you want to go. Now, the next step is what kind of color should we get if we are going for baseline? You know me, I would likely go for black, but that is way too boring of a selection. So I'm gonna go for this nice new blue, which is almost white and kind of confusing. It's gonna look something like this right here. For the do not buy, things to avoid, I'm probably gonna pick the yellow. Sorry, yellow. I mean, you're barely yellow anyways, so I haven't really even, I don't know what or who I could offend. I'm not sure that anyone I've talked to is a huge fan of this color. It's not really vibrant enough to even call itself yellow. It's more like urine. Oh my God. In fact, if you're talking about like this is a relatively healthy urine because it's lacking pigment. The dehydrated urine may have been a better color than this color of urine. The green I don't mind either, but for me I'm gonna say go ahead and go for the blue or the black. Those would be my preferences. Now when it comes to storage, this is a topic of conversation here in the studio. We have our ongoing debates over what is the right amount of storage and then how much do you want to have in the cloud? What are you actually doing on the phone? Are you storing a lot of video and multimedia because that can eat up your storage? And then bandwidth, I suppose, if you're constantly uploading and so forth. So maybe, I mean, this is kind of a cop-out, but probably the middle ground is where you want to be. Spend the 100 more, get the 256 over the 128. The 512, I think, gets a little crazy, going up to $1,100. I don't think I'm going to recommend max storage in either of these, at least for my personal usage. I find it, I personally am satisfied with cloud-based storage for most things. Where I would run into storage issues is if I was using one of these for content creation, where the vast majority of the footage I shot would be on one of these phones, then maybe we can talk about 512 in this case, or even the 1 terabyte on the Pro model, but that's just not my workflow. I use cameras for the majority of like production. So the majority of footage is being offloaded and sitting on cards and drives and so on. So it's not such a big deal, but this is a very personal thing. However, I'll recommend the middle ground of 256. Now let's talk about trade-ins, because Apple does want your trade-in. However, they don't want your trade-in if it isn't an existing iPhone. I thought this was kind of funny as you look at the website here. It's like, oh, do you have an iPhone 14 Pro Max? Do you have an iPhone 14 Pro? That'll be up to $570. Maybe you've only got an iPhone 8. We'll give you $60 for it. But you get to the very bottom and it says, oh, we have some other options. We have some S22s. We have some Pixels. They're like, okay, those have a little bit of value to us. They have a OnePlus 10T for $70. It's kind of strange addition, but I like the one at the bottom. Other recycling, not one of these. We'll take care of that for you. We'll chuck it right in the bin. I would say in most of these cases, you can get more money for your device than what they're offering. Like the 14 Pro Max for $650, talk about a drop off. However, this is a convenience thing. So if I were to say head over to eBay, iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now, obviously there's a lot of people selling these right now, but you can see some of the pricing. Still, I mean, this one's got 81 bids, $810. We head back over to Apple's site and you look at the same model up to $650. And that auction was still going on, so you're probably gonna get closer to 1,000. This is no kind of revelation, like you probably already know this, but if you're all about convenience, you could do your trade-in directly on their website. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, you get almost nothing in the box anymore other than the device and the charge cable. Now, the nice thing this year is you are gonna get a USB-C charge cable, which brings me to today's sponsor, which is our great partner over at Anker, who have such a variety of USB-C accessories to take advantage of with your new iPhone 15. First off is this little guy. This is the Nano Pro charger, and look how tiny that is. This is about the same size as Apple's old 5-watt power adapter, and it's providing 20 watts of power. Apple's old form factor matching this, which was like 5 watts of power. Charge faster for a cheap price, and in something that basically fits into your pocket. So this is a 5,000 milliamp hour power bank that just plugs into the bottom of your new USB-C iPhone. How sick is that? 22.5 watt capable power bank. So fast charging power bank. So then you've got this in-out port on the side, so we can charge up the power bank itself or charge other devices via this port. And the whole thing folds down, so look how pocketable that nice little Type-C unit is. Of course, this is cross-platform. Since we're USB Type-C, we're now plugging in to our Samsungs and our Pixels and, well, even our iPads, because they were already on Type-C. Maybe you want a little bit more power. Plus, it seems like you can just hang it up. Look how genius the little design, Will. You hang it off something, don't you? And then Anker has other stuff for nice little desktop charging stations. You know about Anker, they've got something for everyone. And now, even more so for iPhone users, since we can say goodbye to the Lightning stuff. All right, so let's talk about the Pro model, which is going to be my iPhone of choice. So I gave you like a little bit of criteria for purchasing the non-Pro and sort of what I would do in that case. But for me personally, the way to order is to get the 15 Pro. And the reason I say for me personally is because I put a huge emphasis on the camera components and using these things for shooting photos and shooting video. And that's why I gotta go all the way to the Pro Max this time around. Yes, they're a little bit large, not for everyone. Great for multimedia. Battery life has been pretty good on many recent generations of iPhone. I expect the same thing to happen here. We're up to $1,200 now to start, and we're into this kind of scale right here, 6.7 inches. That'll be $50 a month for 2 years. Again, careful with the payment program over there, you know. If you only got $50 in the bank right now, don't buy a $1,200 phone. Like, just an opinion, I don't know. I'm just saying. Put 50 bucks into Apple stock because they're gonna sell a few. Anyway. All right, so the colors over here, they're more subtle. I don't know, sophisticated. I don't really know what you want to call them. There's been a lot of talk about these options and how nothing is vibrant enough. I don't know. This one's actually easy for me, and that's weird because I expected to just pick up the black titanium and call it a day, but I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip it around. I'm gonna flip it upside down. I'm gonna go with natural titanium. And the reason being is because we have this new material now, and this showcases the fact that it's that new material the best. If you appreciate material science and you love the attributes of titanium, then I want to be reminded on a regular basis that my brand new $1,500 phone is made of titanium. Like, oh, I paid for something. It's glass, it's titanium. It still watches YouTube and I respond to messages on it. It's titanium and glass, $1,500. It matches your Ultra watch if you're Mo running around in circles around the office training for a marathon. So I'm gonna go for the titanium, natural titanium model. I get to the storage here, and honestly, for me, because everything is so cloud and I'm not shooting a feature film, I can get away with the 256 in this regard. I think 128 is cutting it way too tight, but I can get away with 256. The safer bet is 512. That's 200 more bucks, and then 1 terabyte takes it to $1,600, which is just like, all right. You got to know that you want it. I think a lot of people that will step up to that are just those that want to have the maximum spec and never have to worry about anything. And this is back into the category of like, is this a production tool for you? I don't know how many people are living in that universe where they're shooting ProRes on their iPhone 14 Pro Max or upcoming 15 Pro Max. But if you are shooting ProRes and RAW, then this is gonna take up a lot more space, and all of a sudden the storage conversation is gonna get a little bit different. This is not something that I do on the phone on a regular basis. It's fun to play with from time to time, but if you were doing it on a regular basis, you would quickly run out of storage. So that's another consideration. So things to avoid, I think maxing it out. I would say maxing it out would be a thing to avoid. I would say avoid buying Apple's first-party chargers. I would say if you go with the iPhone 15 regular, go for the base and just up the storage ever so slightly and maybe pick this cool new blue color. And if you go for the 15 Pro, maybe take the Max for the added camera functionality with the extra reach on the zoom. Probably don't sell your old one to Apple if you can put up with the hassle of selling it privately, and probably avoid that new yellow color. iPhone 15, another year, another iPhone. Is it necessary? No, don't feel left out. These are small incremental improvements every year now. When I sit and watch the keynote and I go, oh, here we are on number 15. What does it do? It still does roughly the same things for a number of generations now with slight incremental improvements. If you don't think you need an upgrade, you probably don't, and I don't think you should stress too much about not having the 2G sitting around or the $1,000 or whatever it happens to be. These are just my opinions. Obviously, you have to do you, as you've heard the phrase, you know you better than anyone else, but those are just my takes. That is my take, and when this pre-order opens up, I'll be ordering a natural titanium 15 Pro Max with 512 storage.